Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, we are going to have a fun time. Welcome to the Krav Maga class. I am Mr. Kylie. This is Martial Arts America Team Navarre. Now, I kind of alluded to it when we were talking on Monday. And by we talking, I mean me talking to the screen. It's that the goal today is to kind of make sure we can get back to a new normal, a new standard when it comes to our ability to move our bodies and properly function them. Okay, we're going to work on basic flexibility patterns, basic mobility patterns, the difference between the two. Okay, something as simple as flexibility is your ability to stretch your hamstrings. Okay, mobility is your ability for the muscles and the muscles around your shoulder to allow the joint of your shoulder to make that nice 360-degree rotation because it is a ball and socket joint. And a lot of times we end up having our flexibility and mobility aren't in the same level. Sometimes we'll be very flexible, but like for me personally, I'm a lot more flexible than I am mobile. I didn't know that. I just figured that if I could do a split, then I had proper mobility through the joints and the patterns of my body, but I didn't. And so kind of coming to that conclusion and adjusting that helped me move better. Okay, it improved my standard of life. And so that's my goal for you guys, is just show you some things you can work on at home daily. Okay, just build daily patterns that aren't going to necessarily tax your body that much, but will slowly help your body open up a little bit and kind of go over why maybe it's not as open as you would like it to be. Okay, maybe it was when you were younger. Okay, so the first thing we're going to work on, just simple stretch, simple lower body stretch. You're going to pop down to one knee just like this. Very good. Make sure there's stability within both planes so your feet are not in line. There's two different lanes. Okay, you're going to drive your hip forward. We're trying to open up the front of your hip. We do this a lot I don't know if a lot of the Navarre guys do this a lot during the front of class. If I have some of you guys from Pace or Milton joining me, hello. Good, and welcome to a new stretch. And then from here, again, you're trying to feel it here. If you want to feel it more, you can rotate your body. Notice I'm doing my trunk, my shoulders and my hips. I'm not just turning my body or my shoulders. I'm turning my whole upper body so that this muscle can open itself up. And my Navarre team, I'm sure you already know these things, but I'm willing to bet you probably maybe do these twice a week when we could get in a good frame of doing this potentially daily. Okay, to kind of, again, make a new standard. Okay, from here we're going to lean back onto this back leg as we extend our front foot onto its heel and sink away from it, stretching out your hamstring. I'll show you from the side. So we're here. And if you can, the next part of the stretch is to stretch out your quadricep right here. You're going to do that by grabbing and pulling onto that foot right there. What you can also do, requires a little bit of balance, is you can take a towel or a belt or something to that extent. You can loop it around underneath your foot, and you can kind of grab it over your shoulder, and you can pull on that so you'd like to lift a little bit if it's super tight. Good. And the next one from there, we're going to do what's called a 90-90 stretch. Okay. And from there, we're going to work a different hip rotation. So we're going to go here. Your job is to make sure your body isn't rotating. And not all the times from this position, it'll want to rotate this way. Instead, try to keep it framed. Lean your body over. Now I'm kind of accelerating these stretches a little bit, but I want you to take some extra time and do them a little bit longer on your own time. Good. Push forward. Other side. Isolate the hamstring. Pull the back leg to you. If you want to feel it even more in the front of your thigh, you can grab it with the opposite hand. Take the same side hand, push it down to the floor, and then really drive your hip towards the ground. It's more of an advanced stretch, and it feels wonderful. And then 90-90 stretch on the opposite side. Very good. Ooh, one we didn't do, stretching out your ankles. And so a big one to do is your ankle flexion. So it just means being here and from this position, pulling that knee, pulling your foot back to where your toes are closer to you or right in line with your knees. Instead of being foot to heel, go knee down to your, yeah. Instead of being knee to foot, it's knee to heel. Knee to the toes. You know what I'm saying. Good. And the goal here is just to push your knee over those toes. You'll feel a little bit of tension right here, feel a little bit of tension right here. You're trying to increase the flexibility in the front of your ankle a lot, and that's from a lot of times, especially ladies that wear high heels, okay, or boots, or men that wear boots. If you that puts your ankle at a different angle, and more of a flat angle like that, and so just it being stretched out to that norm, a lot of times will weaken your Achilles, and then it'll lessen the angle and ability to flex and come and kind of flex in towards yourself, which I'll kind of get into later, can stop you from doing certain movements that we once could do. Okay, next thing you're going to need is if you have a stick, I'll give you time to get it, or if you have your resistance band, you can do it with a resistance band. I'll show you how to do that as well. I have a bow. If you have a karate student that has a bow, maybe find a bow or a broomstick or a mop. Something of stick sorts is the goal. We're going to do what's called shoulder rotations. These are wonderful and terrible all at the same time. And again, the purpose is to help loosen up your shoulders. Okay, what we're trying to do, our first main goal with this class is to get your body to posture itself up a little bit better. Okay, just from normal day-to-day life, whether we're driving in a car or working behind a desk, what we do most times is sit down and kind of your body leans towards something, whether it's a screen or it's writing, it does something of that stand. Like I'll have a chair to kind of show you. And so most of our days, or it's leaning over your steering wheel, is spent like this, right? And so your shoulders will naturally round and roll forward. Your body will naturally kind of hunch itself forward. And over time, your body just adapts to whatever norm you put it through. Okay, and so if that becomes your new norm, then the problem there is that a lot of times will add the pressure to your back, especially your lower back, because it's just overly stretched for too long. And so we need to kind of get yourself to, and it also will take, and it'll kind of close off your chest, and it'll kind of weaken your core a little bit, and it'll stop your shoulder's ability to reach backwards. And so we want to regain that to help you gain posture, which will give you energy. Good. It'll give you a little more flexibility, mobility through your lower back and through the middle of your back. Good. And so what we're going to do, you take your hands on the item, good, extend them out wide, try to almost like you're trying to break it, like you're trying to stretch it out and break it. So you're pushing your thumbs outwards. Good. Here. And then from there, it comes down to your waist, and you're going to roll it behind you. You will hit a sticking point. Good. Get it? No pun intended, sticking point. Which means from here, you're going to come up and over. And then right about here, you will hit a sticking point, and it's going to come down. Good. And then you have to kind of play with it a little bit to figure out where your line is. Good. It's easier. It's better to start out wider than you expect and then get it that way. And if there is no sticking point, if it's just, there it goes. And again, you're trying to touch your lower back with it. Boom. And then back. If that's easy, then just slide that hand in a little bit and get to where you have to kind of get almost like you're going over the, think of always a roller coaster, getting to the top of the mountain and then coming down. And so, but if you get to the point where your body does this and one of those elbows bends, that means your hands are too close together. Good. And again, we're going to do this for reps. We're going to do it today. We're going to do it for 2 sets of 10. On your own time, it's good to do a very good number is like 50 throughout the day. Good. But that might, and it's also going to fatigue your shoulders a little bit. Good. Or simply do like 2 or 3 sets of 10 and then grow on it once it starts to get easier. So we're ready. We're going to do 10 together and go. There's 1. And you're going slow. 2, 3. That's warm. 4. You also feel it through your chest. We'll feel it through your back. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Woo, that feels good. Okay, so that was 10. We're going to take about 10 seconds off. We're going to come back and do 10 more. Again, you'll probably feel it through your chest. You'll probably feel it in your back. You'll feel it in your shoulders. It's not necessarily going to exhaust or make your muscles bigger, but it's just going to help you move them better. And a lot of times having the ability to move them properly is big on preventing injury. I've been to a lot of different types of athletic rehab for my knee and for my shoulder and for my back and for a lot of other stuff. And so now my main goal right now is prehab. I'm trying to make sure that I do the things properly before I get injured so that I don't get injured. I don't want to go to athletic rehab of my muscles and joints. I want to go to prehab. I want to do the things right now so that I end up not hurting myself later, hopefully is the goal. Okay, so here, and 10 more. Ready? Go. 1, 2. Again, trying to keep those arms straight. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's warm, 8, 9, and 10. There we go. Okay. Again, if you have your band, you can do the same thing with your band, just by finding the right resistance on it. And the goal is just to keep it tight, keep the tension in it. And so you can go here, just make sure it doesn't loosen, is what I'm saying. So if I go there and it's loose, that's not good. So I want to keep that tension out. And I can do the same thing with the band. Good. And if that's easy, you just kind of choke up a little bit and increase the difficulty level. Good, but you're trying to, again, just make it rotate on that pattern, on that track. Good, couple, like, whether it's every other day, every other day. If you wake up tomorrow and your shoulders are just super tight and sore, maybe don't do it that day. Listen to your body and then come back when they're a little bit like fresher and then try it again. Okay, the more you do it, the easier it's going to be for you, okay? And it's going to give you a lot more range of motion through those shoulders, which is very important because a lot of times, especially like if you like to lift weights or we do a lot of workouts in here, if your body lacks a certain range of motion, then and you don't know that, then when we do certain mechanics and certain lifts, then it'll end up putting the weight and putting the stress on the wrong muscle groups, and that's when injury occurs. And so we can kind of go into that later, but that's the main purpose of us doing this, try to open up all those the joints and the muscles and get them to work like they're supposed to work. Okay, next thing we're going to work, okay, you have your band. Same kind of process, trying to work on opening up the chest, right, like kind of flattening your shoulder, getting your body to kind of pull itself backwards because we're normally sat in this position. So we're trying to get your posture to open itself up. So what we're going to do is a rear delt pull. Okay, the way you're going to do that is we're focused on this muscle right here. You're going to kind of find the right spot here. You're going to lift it up, and it's going to go from right above your forehead. And when you pull it down, it should be right across your chest here. Good. And now you're not pulling with your elbows, so you're not doing a tricep extension. Good. You're here, and I'll show you from the back. Good. Pull out. So my arms, my elbows are not bending. I'm pulling with my shoulders. Good. Here. And back up. Okay. Nice and slow and controlled. We're going to do 10 together, 2 sets. And go. 1, 2, 3. And again, we're not necessarily, I know you guys are here for a workout. I am too. But I want to make sure that we're not necessarily here to exhaust our muscles with this exercises. These are just kind of wake up exercises. So if you have 10 minutes in the morning where you can pop up and stretch and do these things, it just puts yourself in the right frame of mind. And also puts your body in the right state to be productive throughout the day. I feel like that was 10. Could have been like more than that. I'm not sure. Okay. Rest a little bit. Because we're not trying to necessarily tax the muscle and get it to rip. We're trying to stress it. We're just trying to wake it up, put it in the right pattern a little bit. And go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very good. Okay, so next thing we're going to work. Sorry, my eyes are bad. I got to look. Okay, we talked about your 90-90 stretch. Okay, from there we worked on last time, worked on the 90-90 rotation. It's more of a vertical version. It's important we do a lot of stretches, but with the mobility work, it's also important from there to do what's called active mobility. So we have passive mobility where you do like the 90-90 stretch where you sit on the ground and you pull your knee in and you lean over, but it's also important to put your body in similar states of motion while being active. So the muscles are used to kind of contracting and having to tighten up and hold yourself up by going through it. And so what we did last time was we had the walking version here, which is kind of a simulated version of a 90-90 while standing. So we're going to work on that. A couple different ways to do it. Stepping forward is a little bit more stressful. Good. For your hips, good, on your knees. So you can also step backwards if that's easier. So I'll show you from the side. You're going to work on taking one leg and putting it behind you. And kind of, again, you're not dropping your knee to the floor per se. It's kind of hanging up off the ground. Good. And then from here, rotate towards the leg in the front. Good. Back in. Other side. Oh, back to the same side. Other side. Good. Back in. Good. If you feel comfortable, if your knees like it, you can also do it while stepping forward. So I'll step towards you. I'll pull my knee in. I'll walk it. Boom. Land. Flatten. Rotate. Back in. Okay. So I go up. Whoa. Back in. One more time each side. Either stepping forward or stepping back, whichever one's your favorite. Pull it up. Other side. Good. Just like that. That was kind of your mobile 90-90 stretch. We also work on hip swings. We'll work on those next time. Yay. Okay. So what we're going to work now is going to, again, kind of increasing the power of your core. And most people think their core is like their rock hard six pack. It can be. Okay. But it can also, it's just all the core represents is the muscles that wrap around your waist. So it's the front and the back. Most people think the core is just the front. Okay. The core is from your lower back wrapping around. Good. Almost like a belt. Good. If you've ever seen people that lift a lot of weight and they have that big belt on, so that's the external version of what we're trying to strengthen, which is our core, the front and the back, the lower back muscles and the front, the abdominals. Okay, so we're going to show a couple little static holds you can do again every day just to wake those up and make sure you're conditioning them properly. All right. So first one being what's called a hollow body. Good. If you're from the VAR, you've done these a couple times. We're going to work it together. Some of you guys are really good at it. I'm trying to get better. So hollow body, you said this again is just to kind of warm up your core and kind of activate all those muscles. You're used to waking it up. And so we're here. You're going to sit, and it starts from this position. Good. Like a cockroach. You pull your shoulder blades off the ground, and you're trying to force your lower back in the ground. That's kind of the stopping point of this exercise. If you feel your lower back starts to round, that means you've gone too far. Something's amiss. Your body's tired, okay? And that's when you can hurt your back. So instead, again, we're trying to force that lower back into the ground and kind of cradle our body and pull our shoulder blades up. Your knees are in a straight line with your hips. Your hands are flat. And then from here, what you're going to do is just extend your arms up here. You're going to also extend your legs down there at kind of a similar sequence. And then once your body starts literally shake and tremor, that means you've gone far enough. You kind of hold that for as long as you can, or come back in a little bit so it's not quite shaking, but then hold that for as long as you can. Kind of conditioning that core, because with the way your core works, the more your body gets away from its center, the more the core has to work to keep everything stable. So that's what we're doing, is we're slowly extending away from our center to make our core work. Okay, so we're here. And then the best way to start it first is put your hands up, straight up. And from now, I'm already starting to shake a little bit. Your knees go out past that halfway point. Then your hands a little bit. And your feet a little bit. You can probably hear it in my voice. Good, and you kind of hold it. Ooh. That was fun. All right. Next thing we're going to work. So we're going to work on your hip flexibility, your strength, and also the working on your lower back a little bit. It's called a bird dog. Okay, it's called a bird dog because you've ever seen, like honestly in real life and in cartoons, like when the bird gets shot and it falls, and the bird dog, that's a pointer, it points, and so we're going to point. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go in a quadruped position here, arms and feet, arms and legs on the ground, knees on the floor here. You're going to raise up one arm right in line with your head. Boom. As you do that, the opposite leg is going to push back. You're not going super high with it. You're going, again, just flat like a table. So what you're going to work on is, again, as I point this one, I'm pointing my opposite. So in this case, it's my right arm and my left leg. And you're going to go slow and hold it and come back. So it's from here. And again, try to make sure your feet are in line with your hips. Your hands are in line with your shoulders. And you're here. And you come back. And the focus is, a lot of times when you do this, we will tend to naturally sink towards the side that stays on the ground. I'll show you from this way. So when I'm here, it's here. A lot of times what naturally happens is we tend to sink towards that direction. So your job is to kind of fight that. Don't let your body lean onto that leg. Let your body stay here. To do that, you have to activate your core more. You feel it starting to tighten up across your body. Other side. Just doing it like 5 times on each side is plenty. You probably should have felt it coming across nice and tight, almost like a strap. That's kind of the goal there, waking that up. Okay, and last thing we're going to work on, super excited about it, and what we're also kind of going over is some items and things you can use to assist and help you guys become more mobile and flexible. First one, of course, being like a bow or a broom, if you have a broom or something like that at the house. Next one, something you may not have, and so I'll show you some adaptive stretches to work towards it, but they're also they can be inexpensive, so it's easier to get a hold of one, and that is called a foam roller. So if you don't know what a foam roller is, there's a fancy one like this. They also make some that are just foam. You can find them. They sell them at Walmart. I believe you can get them on Amazon. They're not that expensive, and they're helpful to help kind of relax the muscles a little bit. The goal is to end up not having to use this. Okay, I don't want you to become fixated on this being the holy grail and the thing you have to use. Okay, and then but it's helpful right now. It's a good crutch right now to get your body to again help make those new norms, so you end up not needing to use this is the goal later. Right now, it's helpful. What it does is you're going to kind of find almost like the pressure point in some of the muscles for your legs. We're going to focus on the legs and getting your ability to squat and hinge your knees and your hips. So a lot of times that tends to be, from us sitting in chairs a lot or kind of being in our car a lot, we lose the ability to squat. You lose your ability to squat your body down and come down here. Good. Or if you do that, you end up falling backwards, or you end up pulling your heels up off the ground. I mean, a lot of times we just think, well, if I've had so many birthdays, I just can't do that anymore. That's just the way it is. And a lot of times it's not that you've gotten to a certain age. It's not that you've gotten to a certain situation. For the majority, for some people, if they've had certain injuries, their body just won't do that, and I get that. For most of it, it's just we stop doing it, so now we can't do it. Okay, it's not that we can't do it, so we stop doing it. Okay, it's that we stop doing it, and then your body trains itself in whatever forms and whatever patterns you put it through. And so if you stop consistently doing something like that, your body will literally forget how to do it. It'll form itself to a new normal, even if that normal is not good for you. So it's important to be able to work yourself back into a new normal. Now, a lot of times what stops us from having that ability to bend and to come back up with good posture, okay, it's either your ankle flexibility. We did that stretch earlier for me, and that blew my mind because, again, being a martial artist, I thought that it would be easy for me to do these things, so my foot naturally does that. But when I would try to like squat or lift weights or something, I would go down and get about here, and I would fall backwards. And I couldn't figure it out why. And what it was my ankles could not properly flex. And so as I would go down, they would go to flex, and I would just sit back and fall backwards. So it's important to practice your ankle flexibility, okay, your mobility. And then it's also important to, from here, the muscles in the front of your hip, good, and then to the back, right, the center of your butt, okay, will a lot of times control, and they'll tighten up improperly and stop you from squatting down, because we spend most of our time, again, sitting in a chair or sitting behind the wheel of a car. And so what that does is that it elongates it tightens up your hamstring. Okay, because think of like your bicep and your tricep. If I flex my bicep, that makes my tricep naturally lengthen out and calm itself down. And so if I'm sitting in a chair like this all the time, I'm literally flexing this muscle, and this one is relaxing. And so I will naturally have shorter, tighter hamstrings than normal. Okay, that's why if you go to lift your leg up, if it doesn't go up very high, good. If your back tightens up when it does, that's because all those muscles are tied together, and so it compounds the negativity in that instance. Okay, so the way we're going to calm it down a little bit, okay, with your foam roller, is you take it here, and you're going to find the muscle right. I'm going to use this side because it's not where the mic is. Right in the front of the hips, right about here, and you're going to have to find it on the foam roller. Okay, I'm going to show you kind of how to work through that. And the toughest part is like you're literally going to make it. You want it to hurt. You want it to be uncomfortable. Now, if it's like if it's like an excruciating pain, that's probably not good. Okay, but we're going to go to which is very uncomfortable, and that's going to send enough of a signal down to the muscles telling them to relax, and then that'll let them calm down and then kind of de-stress themselves and help you from then stretch out. Okay, so from here, you find it, you sit your hip on it, you straighten up, you go to the ball of that foot, and you have to kind of move. They call it a foam roller, not because you're necessarily supposed to roll on it. You can, but it's more you're supposed to roll on it until you find that spot where it's really uncomfortable. There it is. And you hold that for about 20 to 30 seconds while you're breathing. Good. And again, it's going to be uncomfortable. And you do the same thing on the other side. Good. Now, again, the other muscle that kind of runs up at a crossed angle up your butt, it's called the side of your butt. It's called your piriformis. And so we're going to work on stretching that out. We do this a lot in class when we do this stretch. This one. So it's this kind of stretch, and you should feel it right here. So to compound that, you do it on top of one of these. I'll show you from the side. You literally sit on it, base your hand, flatten your opposite foot, pull this knee across, and you want to sit up just like that. And then you want to kind of lean into it until you feel it be uncomfortable, and you hold it there. You just sit in that nice uncomfortable position for about 20 to 30 seconds while you breathe, and you do that on both sides. And a lot of times, just doing that will then allow you to, because your muscles will have been relaxed enough to stand up. Good, point your knees out at just this nice slight 45-degree angle. And then as you sit, you'll kind of work into that pit. You'll work into that hole where you couldn't get to before. And that from there, then you will start stretching yourself out. And again, it's just creating the flexibility and the mobility in your legs and your ankles specifically, and then working on loosening up the muscles by kind of getting those opposing stretches nice and slow, and doing that daily. Good. It's not that you're inflexible. It's not that you've lost the ability to be flexible or mobile. Good. You just haven't done it in a while. And so in your mind, you feel like you just can't do it. And genuinely, like, it works that way with every other thing in life. Like, I remember, I don't know about you guys, but after high school, I didn't do like long division for the longest time. I had to actually write it out. And then like 8 years later, I went to sit down and do it, and I forgot how. It's not that I lost the ability to do it. I just forgot how. I had to reteach myself how to do long division. And it's one of those normals. If you forget doing something, if you don't do something, you will just forget it. Your body won't hold on to that ability mentally or physically. And so right now, learning how to lunge, learning how to squat properly, okay, especially with our lower body, okay, because you've been doing certain other positions probably that have just taken that ability away for now. Okay, you can get it back. It's going to be kind of a trek. It's going to be kind of a road to get back to it, but you can, and it's super important because you have the rest of your life to be flexible and mobile again. And so do that. Take little baby steps, working towards it, but the two main keys are frequency and consistency. And I preach that all day long, doing it like setting a main goal time, because as being adults, we're all very set on schedules, and especially in times like this, it's really tough because we don't really have a schedule, probably, at least not as tight of one as we did, before this happened. And so we have to kind of remake our schedule a little bit, and just make, like, your body gets accustomed to time frames too, at doing things at certain times. So if you decide to do this right in the morning when you wake up, or before you go to bed, or in the middle of the day, try to come with a consistent time, and then try to have a consistent schedule, whether it's every other day or every day. I'm going to sneeze and try to sneeze into the mic. Good. And I promise you will see benefits and you'll see growth. And if you don't, let me know. Contact me. Call us here at the studio, message us on Facebook, and I can throw some more things at you to try to help work back to a new normal, a better normal. So hopefully after all this kind of works itself out, then we have a stronger, more capable person, okay, that we can use in everyday life. That is my goal for you guys. Okay. So I know today wasn't as much as more of a reprieve from the workouts as normal. I promise we'll have a nice hardcore workout for you guys on Monday, coming nice and strong. If you want that workout, you can go back and work with the one from Monday. It was a nice little workout. Mr. Hamill's Krav class is coming up at the pace page. If you want to pop over there in a couple minutes, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this helped. Hope it was a benefit for you. I miss all of you guys and look forward to seeing you soon. And feet together. Kira. Kunyi. Us. Good. You are dismissed.